Thank you for inviting me to speak at your conference. My name is Andrew Nagorski, and I want to talk to you briefly about best practices. This is a term that we hear of very frequently, and its degree of strength or rigor varies from company to company, from different markets, even within departments of organizations. What we know to be the top end of best practices are often done by medical organizations that repeat a procedure to be sure that there's maximum effectiveness for patient care and minimal liability for the organization. Law firms own practices by individual attorneys, and they build cases and materials so they can have repeatable references and really become an expertise in a particular area. In our own organizations, we oftentimes have best practices that are just words. So for instance, I may have a best practice, but I have not looked throughout the world to validate that it is in fact a best practice. I may not have even looked across the organization to determine if it's a best practice. What I may have done is actually taken time to actually think through how something should be done, and I want it repeated. And through my own political force, through my own behavior, through my own personality, coerce others into following that same practice. Not a best practice, it's my practice, but I'm telling you it's a best practice and hoping that you believe it. So I want to give you an example of this. Everyone, by show of hands, tell me if you believe you are a good driver or not. Everyone believes they're a good driver. How many of you have ever been with someone who is not a good driver? A partner, a significant other, a friend, a colleague, and you're just terrorized with their driving. So here's something interesting. We believe our own driving is a best practice, but others are not doing that. So I want to give you two different types of drivers. One is a crazy person, and the other is an idiot. The difference between the two is that an idiot is in the left lane of busy traffic, you're right behind them, and they are going 1 mile an hour slower than you and will not move. They are an idiot. A crazy person is in that same left lane, but they are behind you, and they want to go 1 mile an hour faster than you. So the difference between a crazy person and an idiot can be as little as 2 miles an hour. But we all believe that our driving is actually the best practice, and those two people have pushed the range to too great of an extreme to be correct. So that's an example of how we assess other people's practices just in a daily type of activity that we do. But if you're at a conference, you are seated by other practitioners of something that you do. You'll have topics that you can share, you'll have speakers that will present, you'll have people sitting right next to you that you can talk to and vet not only your problems, but how you're doing things, and find out if there's a different way to do that. Oftentimes, this can be invigorated by traveling. When you go to a different country, you will find that they get through their day the same as you, but with a different style. Their coffee is different, when they have their coffee, where they have their coffee. And it's not that your way is the only correct way to have coffee in the morning. There's many different ways to do that, and you might actually like one of those others. So sometimes traveling gets you out of your comfort zone and allows you to assess your own practices and determine if they are actually best. So while you're at this conference, pretend you're in Italy, having an espresso, find out the different ways. Everyone next to you drinks coffee at the very least. Thank you, and I hope you have a very successful conference.